Yeah, Bernard, I can hear you. I'm actually driving in the countryside, so the network is breaking.
So let's make do with what we have. What is your understanding of the demands of organized labor and other civil society groups in relation to this mining challenge?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. As you may be aware, the president convened a meeting between organized labor and government. And our understanding was that the meeting was very productive and fruitful. And at the end of the meeting, both parties concluded that this age-old menace is one that will require collaboration from all actors, organized labor, government, civil society, people like yourself and the advocacy you've been involved in, traditional authorities, local government agencies, and all of that, to be able to ultimately come to grips with this age-old problem. Of course, government has a much, much bigger responsibility and a lead role in this fight. Of course, we made it very clear that this fight has been ongoing for the past 7 years, and a whole lot of interventions have been put in, including at some stage, literally, if you want me to put it bluntly, burning of excavators and hundreds, if not thousands of them were burned across the country. And we all were witnesses to the furore and the uproar that it generated in this country. And several other measures. I mean, the community mining interventions, the gold catchers we brought, Operation Vanguard, and then subsequently Operation Halt, and a lot more interventions, including adverts in mining communities and all of that to try and sensitize people in these communities. Of course, the issue of the LI came up, LI 2462, I hope I'm right. And then that was also discussed thoroughly. In the end, the consensus was reached between government and organized labor that government would take steps to repeal the LI when Parliament reconvenes. There was a question about setting up special courts to prosecute illegal small-scale mining, which was also discussed, and the Attorney General gave the indication that this is work that he had begun already, and the expeditious trial of offenders of illegal small-scale mining and several other things. And so, by and large, the meeting, in our view, concluded successfully. But be that as it may, I mean, government is taking note of the position organized labor is announced yesterday.
Okay.
And several engagements are going to take place moving forward, not just with organized labor, but with the broad spectrum of the Ghanaian society and various stakeholders in the Ghanaian society for us to get on with this matter.
Okay.
As you may have heard, there are some other interventions which we've been working on over the period, which are going to materialize in the coming days and weeks, which is the concept of River Guard. We've recruited a number of personnel, Ghanaians, and the Ghana Navy is trained them and all of that, and they are going to be constantly patrolling the river bodies of our country. But what's the point I'm making? I'm saying that we are not where we should be. The situation we have on our hands is not satisfactory. But a lot of work is being done. Some progress is being made.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Honorable, I wanted to just...
It has to be a process.
Fair enough. The basis for the demands for organized labor was the premise that the menace has reached, quote, a crisis proportion, unquote. For example, they say that the depletion of our forest cover has never been this rapid. Destruction of our water bodies is at an unprecedented scale, and our entire ecosystem is on the precipice, unquote. And therefore, they made specific demands on the basis of what I've just said, that an immediate declaration of a state of emergency be made with some 3 or 4 sub-actions, including halting all forms of mining in forest reserves and around water bodies, an immediate evacuation of all mining equipment in forest reserves and around water bodies, the deployment of police and military with full orders to remove and destroy all mining equipment and other earth-moving equipment around river bodies and in forest reserves. So that was the first request. I take note of the point you made about LI 2462, but it seems as if the most pressing issue was the urgency of the situation and the request for specific things that I just read.
No, let me respond to that specifically. First of all, I don't intend to engage in a public banter with organized labor. It's not helpful. Neither am I interested in engaging in open contestation with them. But you see, we have to also be fair to the fact, and I will want anybody or any institution or whatever body to put these claims or statements I'm about to make to test. Ghana was about the 2 or 3 countries in the world that had a slowdown of the rate of deforestation. And this is not my making. It's a verdict by the internationally recognized body that makes determination of the rate of deforestation. Ghana, I think, alongside Brazil and Colombia, were the only countries last year to have had a reduction in the rate of deforestation. The forest cover of our country, and I can give you the data, the specific data, from 2017 to date, the forest cover that has been added is more than all the forest cover. In fact, about 4 or 5 times more than all the forest cover that had been added from 1963 to 2016. These are facts, and I can.
So which body made this put information out?
Well, I can get it for you. This is, I think, a UN agency also. I mean, that's a fact. I can furnish you with it. I'm not making it up.
It will be important to do that so that we situate it
I'll
properly.
get it for you. Don't worry.
Yes.
I'll get it for you. I'll get it for you for sure. But it's not by any means suggesting that we do not have a problem with our forest reserves. We do have a problem with our forest reserves. And as we speak today, I know there are people trying to attack forest reserves to try and compromise their integrity to mine in those forest reserves and deplete Ghana's forest reserves. I don't contest that at all. And we have a responsibility to ward them off, to cordon off our forest reserves. The Forestry Commission and the Ministry and the Ghana Armed Forces have been working considerably to try and cordon off the forest reserves of our country. Look, we have problems with the forest reserves, Bernard. We do have problems with the forest reserves. But between the forest reserves and the river bodies, by and large, I think that we have made some a relatively reasonable progress with the forest reserves than we've done with the river bodies of our country.
Let's stay with the forest for a second. Since you made reference to a fact that you say you provide, let me also read what I have. Ghana has around 7.9 million hectares of forest land, which is about 35% of our total land area. According to the Food and Agriculture Organization, around 7.6 million hectares are primary or naturally regenerated forests, and around 297,000 hectares are planted forests. In 2022, Ghana lost 18,000 hectares of primary forest, a nearly 70% increase from 2021. It was the biggest increase in forest loss of any country in recent years, unquote. So this is what I have. Now you are saying you have something that says we have.
Hold on. Yeah. I'll give you what I have, and what the point I make is the rate of deforestation, a slowing down of the rate of deforestation. So even if we were to go by this fact, and you looked at it in 2023, and there was a reduction, that is a slow of rate of deforestation. And it's very difficult to find that. It's very difficult to achieve that. That's the point I'm making. Secondly, it may interest you, and that's the whole point. I mean, I wish I was in your studio that we can get into these matters in detail. That's the whole point about the discourse, because we need to, as I say, look at the fact. You know the number one driver of deforestation in our country? Hello?
I'm listening.
Yes, the number one driver of deforestation in our country is agriculture. It doesn't suggest that mining is not a factor, or mining is not a driver of deforestation. Mining is a driver of deforestation, but then it's established that the number one driver of deforestation is agriculture, primarily cocoa production. And so when you have these statistics, this data, we have to put them in the right context. But those are not even my issue. I think the most important thing is to deal with the issue of our forests. And that's the point I make to you. Now, the demand for a ban on mining in river bodies, and forest reserves. Mining on river bodies is banned. And you see from the statement issued by the Minister for Information yesterday that it is reiterated that these places are national security assets and national security zones, and they are red zones. And mining is not permitted 100 meters away from our river bodies. In fact, we are even insisting that mining should not be permitted 200 meters from the banks of our river bodies. Small-scale mining is not permitted in our forest reserves. So any form of small-scale mining in a forest reserve is ab initio illegal, which has to be dealt with. So the call for a ban of small-scale mining in forest reserves is also completely accepted, because small-scale mining is outlawed in forest reserves. And the only type of mining which is permitted in forest reserves is large-scale mining. So the issue is not so much about banning a particular type of mining in forest reserves. The issue is about how to enforce the rule, how to enforce the law.
Yeah.
So that's more
but
small-scale mining.
Which is that not why civil society organized labor are saying that if it is banned and it is occurring, then declare those areas that they are no-go areas, because any activity on a water body is illegal, and therefore any mining activity on the water body is illegal, and therefore if you are found there, you are there at your own risk. So my understanding of a state of emergency for places around river bodies, for example, using that case, is that the thing is illegal. So if you are there, you are breaking the law. So use the power of state to make that declaration and then remove the people from there, because they are there and we see them every day. I think that's the thrust of the demand around the water bodies, which the intervention doesn't seem to directly acknowledge.
Yeah, but that's exactly what we reiterated yesterday, which was to say that exactly what you are saying. In fact, the ingredients of what you just spelled out are the same as what we have put out yesterday. And
you mean the red zone thing that the minister wrote in the statement? That's not.
Yeah, not just the red zone, but the fact that the law enforcement agencies, the Ghana Armed Forces and the rest, are to rate the water bodies of our country off any form of mining activity. But you see, Bernard, let me also point this out. The impression should never be created that we are just waking up to take action on this matter. I've been the minister responsible for illegal small-scale mining for almost 4 years, and I know how much work has gone into this. Operation Halt has been happening almost every fortnight. The logistics, the funding, everything has been arranged, and the Ghana Armed Forces have been waging operations every fortnight. But we need to do a lot more, and we are going to do a lot more. But that has been the policy of government, and that is what government has been up to this year. And that is what we are going to ramp up, and which is why it was indicated in the statement that river bodies are no-go areas, and action is going to be taken accordingly.
The statement the Information Minister issued did not make any mention of any military anything. What I've seen here is that government, water bodies and forest reserves remain red zones for mining, and all forms of mining in water bodies, as well as reconnaissance, prospecting, exploration, and all small-scale mining in forest reserves remain banned. Law enforcement agencies of the state are fully mandated to raid our water bodies and forest reserves of all forms of mining. Then he talks about the Attorney General. So my understanding of points D, which I just read, is that whatever is going wrong, we are already aware we are doing it. The point being raised by civil society and organized labor is that this is happening in spite of its illegality, and therefore drastic times require drastic measures, which is why the point around declaring states of emergency and then ridding the place of the equipment that are already there now is of the urgency. And I don't, with all due respect, I don't get that from what I just read from the Minister of Information statement. Hello? Listeners, please bear with us. This is City Breakfast, so we'll get it. We'll get to Samuel Abu Jinapor. Yes,
really sorry.
Yes, we are happy to have you back. I hope you heard my question.
Yes, the network will be stable in a few minutes' time.
Good. I hope somebody's driving. You're not driving yourself, by the way. Otherwise, both of us are breaking the law.
No,
Somebody, hopefully, yes, thank you. So I was asking about point D of the Minister of Information statement. Basically reminds us of what you already know. It does not tell us anything new about what is being demanded or asked of government.
Well, maybe then I should give you a bit more information, or I should give you a little more detail. The point is that if you are going to start an operation or you are going to do anything in the field and the rest, you don't want to give all the details out. But certainly, any operation that is going to take place will have the military at the forefront. These are very sophisticated gangs and cartels who are highly armed, and any time we've had to wage an operation relating to illegal small-scale mining, the Ghana Armed Forces that is always at the forefront. But of course, other security agencies collaborate with them to be able to get the exercise done. This is why the language is law enforcement agencies. It's not by any means suggesting that the Ghana Armed Forces will not be involved. They will actually be in the lead.
Why is government reluctant to declare the state of emergency?
Well, but you also have to examine the contours of a state of emergency. You should do that yourself too, and come to a conclusion.
No, is there something I don't know? Because it's been explained. It's in fact in the organized labor statement they actually give 4 pointers under it, Article 31, and spoke of because it's not a national state of emergency. It's for specific areas to do a specific thing.
Don't let me make any comments on state of emergency. I think that those matters should be in the bosom of the Attorney General. But my little understanding of a state of emergency as a lawyer is really that you are. The basic one is that you sort of literally all right.
Yes. So, I wanted your candid view on the state of emergency and why you think it may not be the way to go. Because almost everybody else is convinced that the government has to do that to show that it sees the seriousness of this crisis situation with galamsey.
Well, I'm not taking a position on that. I think that that decision will have to be a collective one. And as I said, the Attorney General is a person who will be in a better position to advise the President and the government on the full ramifications of that kind of move. But as I said, I do know that a state of emergency will essentially mean that you're suspending the rights of all the people in that catchment area, whether they are connected to mining directly or indirectly. They can be arrested and kept for 48 hours, more than 48 hours without being charged and put before court. Curfews can be imposed, and so on and so forth. And then the question as to whether or not we cannot get on with what we have to continue with in order to achieve our objectives without having to have this, state of affairs which will affect people who are not involved in any form or shape with mine. But anyway, I don't want to make a categorical. I don't want to take a categorical view on this matter. It's a matter which is on the table.
Okay, what about a national declaration that all mining on and close to water bodies and in forest reserves is suspended by executive order until further notice?
Yeah, but that is the case now.
No, because no. What I understand is that some type of mining in forest reserves can happen. It is the small scale. That my understanding is that because of the LI, there are people who have the license to actually mine in forest reserves. That's my understanding. That's my understanding.
Bernard, I'm sorry, it's the wrong understanding. First of all, mining is not lawful on water bodies. By law, by the Minerals and Mining Act 206, Act 703, you cannot, and by the Water Resources Commission Act, you cannot mine in water bodies. Completely, you can't. You can't mine 100 meters away from the banks of the water.
What about forest reserves?
So hold on. So the question is, how is the law being enforced properly? That if you raise questions on that, we can have that conversation. But that ban mining on water bodies is not even a question of banning; it's unlawful. So that's number one. Number two, the forest reserves. small-scale mining is not permitted in forest reserves. That's number two. Number three, as far back as April 2017, I issued an executive order which prohibited all forms of prospecting in forest reserve, regardless of it being large-scale concession.
Good.
So you were not allowed to prospect in forest reserves, except under exceptional circumstances. Because what we found out was that people then came for prospecting licenses on the pretext of going to prospect, and they ended up mining. So we used executive order to outlaw or ban prospecting in forest reserves.
So what are the exceptional circumstances?
No, I'm not prospecting. No, there's no such prospecting licenses issued for forest reserves.
Good. So you're saying that as things stand.
No, so I'm going to address your concern. Your concern is the one that is permitted, the large scale mining.
Yeah, in forest reserves.
Yes, and my response to you will be that, for example, Ghana Manganese Company Limited is mining a forest reserve, but they've been doing so since 1916. And that's the only manganese company we have here in Ghana. Ghana Bauxite Company is mining a forest reserve. They've been doing so since 1946. Newmont, the world's largest producer of gold, Ghana's largest producer of gold. The contribution of Newmont to Ghana's exchequer and national economy and revenue, you can check that out.
Okay.
Huge conglomerate. Newmont is mining in the forest reserve. But even on top of that, these companies restore our forest reserves. These companies add on more hectares of forest than they deplete. And so when it comes to netting it out, they rather contribute in increasing Ghana's forest estate. The problem we have, and let us confront, that is what we should confront, or that's where the discussion should be. The problem is illegal small-scale mining in forest reserves. That I will concede wholeheartedly. That is a problem we are dealing with, and it's a problem we have to continue to deal with ruthlessly. Okay. That is where the problem is.
Fair enough. So the disagreement is on whether the way you are dealing with it is effective or not. But let me ask you another question.
Can have that conversation.
No problem. There has been a claim made that between 1988 and November 2022, only 150 licenses were issued in Ghana, right? But between 2022 to date, more than 1,400 licenses have been issued. And this is in reference to small-scale mining licenses. Number one, are you aware of this? Now, if this is true...
First of all, straight away, that is false. It's false.
So what is the true position in relation to...
I can give you the data. You will see that the licenses issued in the period that you've talked about is far, far, far more than the licenses issued in the other period that you talked about. I have the data on my phone. I can send it to you. But that is not even...
No, maybe refer to it and read, because this is in the public domain. I'm not even the one creating. This is everywhere. And so if you have contrary data, put it out. Put it out for the world to hear from your own mouth. Okay.
Yes, I'll forward it to you. But it's not correct, Bernard.
Okay.
But also importantly, and this conversation I'm having with you actually tells me that perhaps we have to engage a lot more. Because the problem, okay, and I don't pretend to have all the answers, or I don't pretend to know it all, and I'm happy to be guided or to get people to help in terms of how we go about this matter. But the problem, Bernard, since I have been minister, the problem I have faced and the criticism that I have suffered in the industry, I'm not talking public criticism, is that I don't approve licenses. That has been my biggest headache. And apart from everything else, approving the licenses based on the regime we have now is just simply cumbersome. So to approve one small scale mining application, the minister has to sign 6 signatures. So if I have to approve 10, it means I have to sign 60 signatures. So getting that work done in itself is cumbersome. Now, why is it that they criticize me for not approving small-scale mining licenses? The point the pundits make or the experts make is that it's because you don't grant licenses. That is why the sector is not formalized enough, or that is why the sector is not regulated enough. And that is why people then resort to illegal small-scale mining. And that one of the tools for dealing with illegal small-scale mining is promoting legal small-scale mining, and therefore approving licenses expeditiously and bringing the small-scale miners within the ambit of the regulatory framework or ecosystem where the Inspectorate Division of the Minerals Commission can then police their work and so on and so forth. Of course, I also recognize that people within having licenses perpetuate illegalities, which is that they have the license, but what they are doing in substance or on the ground is illegal small-scale mining. Okay, so the suggestion that even one regime has given more licenses then suggests that that regime is promoting illegal small-scale mining. That in itself
so if you're saying it's false,
correct.
So that was why I'm saying.
No, but let me just add one last point, please.
Okay.
You know, the criticism was so heightened that it was so heightened, and the small-scale miners association actually threatened a demonstration against me, and it got to a point where I had to sign about 99 or 100 licenses at a go. I don't sign licenses
under pressure. On merit or under pressure?
No, on merit. On merit because I then set up a committee to double vet these applications, you know, and the committee chaired by a gentleman called Mr. Benai. You can find out, a very distinguished public servant who's been a chief executive of the Minerals Commission under President Rawlings, who is now my advisor on mining, whom I have a lot of confidence.
So you had to sign the 99 after that. My question is, was it based on...
I did in 2022.
Fair enough. The question I'm asking is that based on a policy... I'm coming. I want to understand you. What is the overriding policy you were working with? Because if the demand for licenses of small-scale nature is even going up, whether it's 1 million people who are requiring or requesting, whatever you do must be determined by your overriding policy, which is what we want to know. So what does your policy say? What did your policy recommend? Or was it the demand that they placed that required you to then get Mr. Ayu to then go through and approve the 99?
Yes, the policy, so it's a very good question. Not just the policy and the law. The law and the policy is that there's a whole rigorous process which you go through, beginning from the district level, the Minerals Commission office at the district, which you go through all the way to the Minerals Commission, and by law, I think it's even by both the Constitution and by Act 703, the Minerals Commission then makes a recommendation to the minister to approve that license or that application. The minister cannot approve the application without the recommendation of the Minerals Commission. And when the Minerals Commission makes the recommendation, the minister only will disapprove or should disapprove the application in very exceptional circumstances on stated grounds. So the point is that the point is more or less, if the Minerals Commission makes the recommendation, the presumption is that the Minerals Commission has crossed its T's, has dotted its I's, is satisfied itself that this application is meritorious, and therefore the minister should approve it. But I'm saying to you that the suggestion that approving licenses in themselves is rather promoting galamsey. On the contrary, approving licenses rather should curb galamsey, because then you are formalizing the sector. It's like the cocoa industry.
If the license, I agree, but if the license is given and the way the person mines is not monitored by the regulatory agency, it can still lead to galamsey, because you approve, but if the person is supposed to supervise to make sure that this person is mining within the geographical area demarcated and using the approved method. So it's not just the fact that the person is licensed, because the kind of distraction being seen could even be from both licensed and unlicensed people. And I'm sure you know this.
Bernard, you are 110% right. That's why I said this matter is the conversation has to take place from different angles. So yes, you are right. You are talking about galamsey within a legal license. The person is being given a license to go and engage in responsible, lawful, small-scale mining, but ends up using the license for illegalities. That I agree with you.
Okay.
But that comes to the question of the Inspectorate Division of the Minerals Commission, law enforcement agencies, monitoring and regulation. But I want us to agree that the suggestion that granting licenses in and by themselves is promoting illegal small-scale mining is not entirely correct.
Fair enough.
Granting licenses, granting licenses rather helps to formalize the sector, like the cocoa industry.
If the license is policed.
Yeah, hold on, I'm going to make that point for you. And then granting the licenses and having the people who hold the licenses monitored and regulated properly. That is how we can curb illegal small-scale mining.
Fair enough.
And that is why from 2021 to date, we've given the Inspection Division of Minerals 20 pickups. That is why we built 8 offices, decentralized offices for the Minerals Commission. That is why we have a situation room, a control room, where we have gadgets on excavators and monitoring them in real time. That is why a lot of equipment have been given to the Inspection Division, and personnel have been recruited to strengthen the hands of the Inspection Division of the Minerals Commission. But whilst I have you, let me give you the information. Let me give you the information that you asked for. So the data is from Global Forest Watch, which is a UN agency. Global Forest Watch, Global Forest Watch. That is the name of the organization. And primary forest loss reduced from 18,000 hectares in 2022 to 12,700 hectares in 2023. And that's the point I'm making.
So you are making a rate argument. Rate. So if I'm speeding by 100 kilometers per hour and I reduce to 90, and somebody is speeding by 40 and reduces to 35, you can say your rate has been slowed faster than the second guy, but you are still depleting more than the second guy. That's the point I'm making. So the fact that no. Rate. You see, you said, because what I read was that the amount 18,000 hectares to 12,000 hectares. More than anybody else. So that 12,000 hectares is still more than everybody. Do you understand me? So the fact that you reduce from 18 to 12 doesn't mean that.
Hold on.
Hello. Yeah.
Hold on. We don't have to place heads on this, because we are not at cross purposes. It's a constructive conversation for the good of our country. The point I made is simple. I said that, I acknowledge that we have a challenge with our forest resources, and I want to reiterate that with a lot of emphasis. We need to do a lot more. I want to reiterate that too with a lot of emphasis. But I said, and this is information that was brought to my attention, and I felt it was encouraging. That's why I put it to you. And I said that Ghana is one of the few countries, I think Ghana and Colombia and Brazil, and this was touted when I went for the climate week at Onga. Ghana and Colombia and Brazil, also just 3 countries, are the only countries in the world which had a slowed down in the rate of deforestation last year. That's the point I just made. It doesn't mean that we did not have deforestation, but that it slowed down. It is not good enough. It's not satisfactory. But it's encouraging.
Because the 22, that's true. That's true, because the 2022 level was higher than anywhere else in the world, which is why when we reduced it from 18 to 12, it was a slowdown in the rate.
So going by your statistics, the 2022 one was a very disturbing situation.
Yes.
But the 2023 one is encouraging. And is about the only country in the world that had a slowdown in the rate of deforestation, alongside Colombia and Brazil. So that is encouraging. We have to continue to work hard to even get to a situation where we do not have any deforestation at all. And I have some more information. From 2002 to 2023, Ghana lost 143 kilo hectares of humid primary forest, making up 8.9% of its total tree cover loss in the same period. Total, and it goes on and on. So the point I'm making is the situation has improved. Then the data on small-scale mining licenses, if you indulge me, I'll give it to you now.
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So, and I'll send it to you. You have the years, 2012, you have 332, 2013, 282, 2014, 1045, 2015, 321, 2016, 3... just hold on, please. 2017, 7, 2018, nil, and it goes on and on. 2021, 11, 2022, 148. I suspect this 99 is all part of the 148. 2023, 98, 2024, 93. The total is 2,423. From 2012 to 2016, licenses granted were 1,402. From 2017 to date, licenses granted is 1,014. The difference is some 400 licenses. But that.
So these are small-scale mining licenses.
Yes. But that for me is not even the point. That's not consequential in my view. And so the point that more licenses have been granted in this era than the previous era is wrong. It's false. More licenses were granted then. In fact, 400 more licenses. But I will not say that promoted small-scale mining.
Yeah. But when you look at I accept your number. But when you look at the increase in 2022, the 98, do you think that 2022 to 2023, the fact that there was a ramp up in the licenses could have contributed to the heightened mining activity, leading to the new wave of pollution that is being reported?
No, I don't agree with that, because those licenses were properly monitored, and those concessions are doing very well, and I can take you through the reports that verifies that those concessions are actually doing very well. So the problem we have, Bernard, is illegal small-scale mining. The root illegal small-scale mining. The ones that are under the ambit or the remit of the Minerals Commission, which is within a formalized ecosystem, those ones, by and large, we're able to regulate them and keep them on the straight and narrow path. The problem has to do with illegal small-scale mining.
Well, there are a number of concerns about regulation. For example, the Auditor General's report for the previous year deals with the very poor record of the EPA in managing our environment, particularly forest reserves, right? We know that when it comes to mining in forest reserves, apart from the Forestry Commission and the Minerals Commission, there's also the EPA. So when there's an increase in number of people who are giving licenses and our regulatory capacity does not grow to match it, it's very possible that the methods being used will continually lead to destruction. So I don't know if you agree to the regulatory issues.
I will not disagree with you at all. In this sphere, regulation is everything. And take it from me, my friend, and I say this in all humility and modesty. I don't grant licenses indiscriminately. At all. I don't. It's a discretion that is given to me by law. And I exercise that discretion very responsibly. And anybody who's worked with me and knows me and been close to me will attest to this fact. I'm not a judge in my own cause, but this one I have to say to myself. And I can submit my tenor to whatever scrutiny, and it will be established clearly that I don't grant licenses indiscriminately. One of the biggest criticisms I face within the industry is the fact that this minister doesn't grant licenses. I don't, because I know they have implications, and exercising that discretion must be done responsibly.
Final question from my colleague Godfred.
Yeah, Abu Jinapor, good morning.
Yes, sir, my brother.
Yes, if you can just clarify for me, does the government consider the current situation a crisis one or not? What is the classification of the government on this particular matter?
Thank you.
Well, I'm not too sure that the issue of classification and all of that is, the most important thing is that we have had a challenge, we've had a problem in this country for many years. And I'm not too sure we will have the opportunity to exhaust this subject. Perhaps we should find an occasion for me to come in studio for us to have a...
But if you admit that,
then it determines your response.
No. Let me just finish, please. I'm saying to you, if you take a cursory look at the history of small-scale mining in Ghana from the 1980s all through to this point, you will see how this situation has evolved. If you take other examples too, if you go to Cote d'Ivoire, we have a major problem with illegal small-scale mining. If you go to South Africa, because South Africa, sometimes the paramilitary they use to confront small-scale mining are even overpowered, and law enforcement agents are killed, and so on and so forth. There they call it Zamazama. What we call galamsey, they call it Zamazama. In fact, even if you go to Australia, one of the biggest problems their mining industry has is called prospecting. Prospectus. That's what they call galamsey there. The long-standing issue of the extractive industry, whether in the petrochemical sector or in the mining sector, and illegalities and all of that, there's a lot of literature on that. It is not to justify the situation we find ourselves in, what we have today. But the point I'm making is that this has been a work in progress. This has been an effort which has been ongoing over a period of time. Every now and again, we are required to pause, to review, to evaluate, to amend, and to move forward. I believe that we are at that stage as we speak, in terms of people contributing their views on on how we should continue from here. But I want to also make this point and do so very respectfully and very modestly, that this government is made in its considerable interventions when it comes to illegal small-scale mining, and even has brought it to the front burner of Ghanaian national discourse. Multiple times have I been to nationals of chiefs across the country, everywhere. Multiple times have I met Regional Security Council. Multiple times have I gone to national with the president, burning of excavators, declaring river bodies as red zones, and so on and so forth. Is the situation we find ourselves in today satisfactory?
No.
It is not. The situation is not. What has to be done? We have to be relentless. We have to be relentless. We have to continue with our concerted efforts, and we need everybody on board.
Fair enough.
Let me give you an example.
I just wanted to.
I need you to ask the question. For example, that when we were burning the excavators,
yes.
and there was this public outcry and so on and so forth. I would be happy to find out how the disposition of various stakeholders in our society.
Fair enough.
We need the backing of everybody.
Okay.
We are about to.
But now that Honorable, now that you have the almost all sectors of society, so I have over 50 statements, civil society groups, all urging you on. Is this not the best chance to take drastic action? Because Academy of Arts, organized labor, religious bodies. So yes, we know you've done work since 2017, and we admit Galamsey has been with us for a long time. But to see this upswell of anger when people look at the distraction and they are all urging you to take more stringent action, I would have thought that, wow, people are telling government, we think you should be a bit firmer. A government should be excited to say, well, let me do what I have to do. But it seems as if you're saying, well, we're already doing what we have to do, and some of the things you're proposing are too extreme, and let's not let anybody say we are not working. It's almost like you are finding a reason not to do beyond what the masses and the people are asking you to do, which is my struggle. Because many governments will be happy to have all these people come out to say, do it, because that's the will you need.
When there was no pressure and there was no, to use your words, quote unquote, support, we still took the difficult decisions, because that is what governments are meant to do. So pressure or no pressure, we will do what we have to do. We will do what we have to do. The only point I made was that when we continue with the work we've been engaged in for the past 7 years, we hope and expect that this kind of call and support will continue to manifest, and that nobody capitulates as we move forward.
Thank you.
But we have always done what we have to do, regardless of public pressure or stakeholder or civil society calls. And you recall that there was a time in Ghana when we burnt excavators, when we were arresting people, when we were clearing river bodies, and so on and so forth. We will continue to do that. We've never stopped. It's work in progress.
Do you think something like banning chamfan manufacture or importation would help? Because
it's banned.
But there are so there are still a lot of chamfans in the country.
I don't know if it's me or Honorable Asmachemi, sponsored the law in Parliament, Act 995, which banned the use of champagne for illegal mining. So
when we drive around, Wasa Ekropa, and we see champans on the roadside, can the police confiscate them since they are banned?
Why not?
So why so are the police aware that champans are an illegality, and therefore any champan you see is a contraband product?
Very much so. I've told you that I've been to all the 16 regions of Ghana to meet regional security councils where the regional police commander is present, and I've said it clearly. And just 2 weeks ago, I met all the regional ministers, and I made it abundantly clear that all champagnes and the rest are all outlawed.
So if the police are not acting, what is the issue? Because yesterday, Mr. Isi told Parliament that even behind the Nyinam police station, people are doing galamsey, and he's surprised that they are not doing anything about it.
Well, I have to take that up.
Yeah, because it was a matter of record. He said it before the Government Assurance Committee, and this was a public issue. So it's good you've decided to take it up. But thanks for talking to us, Honorable Abu Jinapor.
Thank you. I should have been in your studio, so you'd have given me breakfast in a long interview.
Well, thank you for your time, sir. 9:31. Abu Jinapor is MP for Damongo, Minister for Lands, Natural Resources. 2 points of facts that were raised in relation to forest degradation.